is joining us. He is our guidance counselor, and he too helps with the scheduling process. We're just going to set a couple ground rules for the meeting today because we want to be able to facilitate and answer any questions that you may have about scheduling. You have received an email from Mrs. Brock that had not only this invitation, but also the link for the scheduling form. If we go through things this evening and you have additional questions about scheduling for your child, please just reply to that email and the three of us will work together to get those answered. In the meeting tonight, because we have been doing this a long time and you are probably very new to the middle school concept, if you have some questions that are for the good of the order or some things that we could clarify as we go through, please just type your questions in the Q&A section, and administratively, the three of us will continue to check those and answer those for the group as the whole. So again, you may ask questions via the Q&A on the chat, or you may also just reply to Ms. Brock's email that she sent, and we will work to get those answers to you very quickly. Ms. Brock is going to go over the scheduling form, that the link that you had received about scheduling, talking about some of those courses, and walk us through that step first. When we're finished that, in the confines of time and to be able to answer some questions about some new things that are coming down from the county, Jefferson County Schools will still be doing the Jefferson Virtual Academy next year. And for families that choose or would like more information about the Jefferson Virtual Academy, after we've finished the scheduling form with Ms. Brock, we'll invite families who have completed and are ready to move on to go ahead and disconnect from the meeting. And then I will be giving some further information about the Jefferson Virtual Academy to those of you that are interested and able to clear up some of those questions. So Ms. Brock's going to go ahead and go over that form and get you ready to schedule your middle schooler.
Good evening, everyone. I know some of you have already filled out the course request sheet that was emailed to you, so I think some of you are ahead of the game. It's pretty simple to use, and in 6th grade, there are not a whole lot of options that you have, especially this year with some changes that they have made that actually went into place this current year, but will also roll into next year. When you click on the form, you're gonna fill it out very similarly to how you filled out the form to get into this meeting. So it's going to ask for your email address, and then it's going to review the Jefferson Virtual Academy requirements that Mrs. Moss will go over once I'm finished. So those are all typed on there for you to read. After that, we are going to ask that you select if you want your student on site next year or virtual. So that will be the first decision that you have to make. And again, if you have questions, please stay after this so that we can answer those. From there, we're going to ask you just for some general information: student name, ID number, and your email address, phone number, etc. For 6th grade, all students will be automatically enrolled into English and reading, math, science, and social studies. Those are the 5 core classes. At this time, there are no other options. Everyone goes into those general core classes. In the math class and in the English and reading class, your student can choose to earn an honors credit. So the honors credit is available through English, reading, and math. And the teachers will go over what those requirements are. And then at the end of each 9 weeks, if your student has earned the honors credit, it will be labeled such on the report card, and at the end of the year they will receive that honors credit if they've received it 3 out of the 4 9 weeks. But there will be a sheet explaining all of that goes home with your student once we get rolling next year. So we do not have separate honors classes in any of the core subjects. Again, they can earn that honors credit through the general classes. So after that is explained to you, there's not a choice for that. The only choice that you really have to pick are your elective classes. We're going to ask that you pick between one of the 4. We offer chorus, which is a year-long class. We also offer band, which is a year-long class, and we're offering beginning band, which is a year-long class. So if you're choosing band, if you've had band in if you had band this year in elementary school, you're going to register for the band class, and that is explained on the form. If you would like to try band, but you've never done it before and you did not participate in elementary school, we're going to ask that you check beginner band. So if you're not interested in band or chorus, then we have a related arts rotation, which is what we call related arts just in general, and it consists of 4 classes. We have a 9 weeks of computer applications, a 9 weeks of agriculture, a 9 weeks of family and consumer sciences, which is home ec, and a 9 weeks of general music. So they rotate through those classes and they receive 9 weeks of each. And that makes up the year. So you will have to choose one of those 4 options. And then the only other class that is already pre-selected for your student is the other related arts rotation, which consists of 9 weeks of art, 9 weeks of health, and a semester, which is 2 9 weeks of PE. So again, that related arts rotation is pre-selected, the core classes are pre-selected, and then the only choice that you're going to have to make at this time is for the other related arts rotation. 6th and 7th grade year, there will be a few other options. So we usually don't get into that this year with the 6th graders just because it doesn't apply. So next year, if we're having this meeting or if we see you in person, we'll go over some of the options then. Let me just make sure. Yep, so those are all the questions that you're going to have to answer on your form. Again, it's pretty simple. I don't have what was the date, Mrs. Moss, that we put on that? The 19th, I think?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, 19th. We'd love to have those back by then.
Right. So it's fairly simple. If you want to get off this meeting and get on that Google's form and go ahead and fill that out today, that would be great. The sooner the better. We are asking that you do that by March 19th. The whole scheduling process is a little difficult. So the earlier we can get started, the better.
So we had a question in the chat about the related arts classes. So when students come to middle school, besides their 5 core classes, in our building, we have an 8-period day. One of the courses that they're assigned is called MTSS, which is Multi-Tiered Systems of Support, which is a course that does remediation, skill building, all types of things to keep our kids engaged and moving forward inside of our days. We have enrichment programs through there. Our jazz band might meet during that time. The other related arts courses are 2 sets. One carries related arts throughout the entire middle school career for your student. Every student, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, will have 9 weeks of art class, 9 weeks of health class, and an entire semester of physical education. So that's one of the very first related arts classes that your students get. And then you have the choices that Ms. Brock talked about, either the related arts rotation of computer applications and general music and those courses, or chorus or band. So hopefully that helps clear that up a little bit. Just before we go into the virtual, before I go into talking about the Jefferson Virtual Academy, one of the things that we typically talk about most in our scheduling night session is about summer communication and how you know that what's going to be happening for your student to get ready for middle school. Ms. Brock, in the past, and will continue to this year, run a Mustang Academy. It is a 3-day and it might be extended this year. We will see. A 2-day. Miss Brock's going to keep me on my toes tonight. It's a 2-day event that is half days that will get your student ready for entering the school. So I'm going to let Brock talk about that a little bit before we break into the JVA and when you can be looking for that information and registration information so that you feel a little bit more comfortable getting your student ready for middle school.
Sure. So we were not able to do an on-site orientation last year. We kind of put together something virtual, but we're hoping and we are planning on having an on-site orientation. It's usually the first or second week in August. It's a Wednesday and a Thursday morning. We do provide transportation usually from Ranson Elementary and from TA. So you can either bring your student and drop them off, or you can drop them off at one of those schools and a bus will provide transportation to our school. So it's about 3.5 hours, 2 mornings. At that point, the students will get their schedule. They will be able to walk around the school, find their classes. We kind of just go through the building, show them where all the key rooms are, and then they get to walk around and follow their schedule. We will also have their locker number available for them. Opening lockers is one of the most difficult things that the middle schoolers worry about. So we have a little information sheet that shows them how to open their lockers. So both days they will get to practice those two things because those seem to be the most important. We also have some other key staff members that join us from Mustang Academy. We have our athletic director who comes and he's able to answer some questions and give some information. And he's also our PE teacher, so he talks about physical education. Our librarian is there. Usually our band teacher, chorus teacher have some input if necessary. Our nurse is there sometimes. So it just kind of depends, but we just have some key people there giving the students some information. So I definitely get in the habit of checking our website. I do have all of your email addresses, obviously, from this. So I will probably be shooting out an email April, May about Mustang Academy, where you will be able to sign up and register your child for that. So if anything changes with email addresses, it's really important to keep us updated with that because we've used email addresses crazy amounts this year. So that is super helpful. For the orientation, we usually just have you all drop the kids off. I know it's a transition, but we just like to get them in here and get them rolling. We also give them some goodies to take home with them on the second day, some school supplies they can take with them. We do have a sign-up sheet for that. It's not out yet. It will be emailed. It will be on our website. So be looking for that. And again, that will probably be the first week in August, second week at the latest.
Thank you, Ms. Brock. We did have a question before I let us split out if you're not interested in more details about JVA. When we talked about orientation at the beginning of the year, Mustang Academy is a private student event, but we do have an open house and a meet the teacher night in which parents attend with their children to meet teachers, see the building, and do those things. So the Mustang Academy is a private specific student event, and orientation / meet the teacher night is run of an evening, and parents are welcome and encouraged to attend with their students. I'm just checking the chat one more time to make sure that we're answering any other questions. Remember, in this format, we are trying to work as quickly as we can to get these through, but want to encourage you to send emails to Ms. Brock if you have any more questions. One of the questions that was just posted was about a student ID number. It is not a required answer on the form. So if you do not have your student's ID number, because that happens and they forget just as well as we do, you can leave that blank and we will take care of all that information on our end. The most important piece of communication there is an email address from you so that you can get your own responses. And again, if you have other questions, you can send those to Mrs. Brock and she will be able to respond to those. Seeing that we've answered all the questions that are in the chat, if you are so inclined to stay tuned and learn a little bit about the JVA, you are more than welcome to stay on. If not, I will ask you to go ahead and kind of click off, I guess we can say it that way, and work on that scheduling paperwork if you can, and get it back to us as quickly as you can so we can go forward with some scheduling. Thank you so much for attending this evening, and stay tuned to our webpage for good information. All right. So for those of you that have decided to stay, thank you very much. I do have a couple more questions in the chat, and these might be supportive of you. So I will just kind of give you some information before we talk about the JVA. Dates for the Mustang Academy have not been finalized yet because we do not have a start date for school yet that has been board approved. So we will be keeping those updated, just kind of keep checking our webpage. If our students are coming on site or our students are coming virtual, we will be doing orientations to make sure that all of our kids have all the resources they need to be successful. So if your child is going on site, they are very recommended to attend orientation, and hopefully that question that was posed, that person has stayed on to get that answer. So for the rest of you that are here and attending, I am going to look down a little bit during this part because since the JVA is new, I want to give you solid information. Also encourage you to spend some time on the Google form that we've created to read those outlines and the expectations of the JVA. In regards to what is happening in the future, We are still working on obviously scheduling and numbers and courses and teachers, and it's a work in progress. But there are some guidelines for the JVA that parents and students have to meet in order to be accepted into the academy. Number one is a student has to have a 2.5 GPA for their previous virtual courses. So if it has been a struggle this year and our students do not have met those requirements as fifth graders, they will not be considered for the Jefferson Virtual Academy. The second thing would be a reliable internet. And every once in a while, my screen looks like I'm blinking in and out. So I might not even be a good candidate for the JVA from my home, but you must have a reliable internet service. There's a huge importance between the student's relationship with their instructor and the way that they build and learn from their teachers by having a relationship with them. So daily attendance is necessary. Currently, students can participate synchronously or asynchronously and be doing work and completing work as long as it's done by a certain deadline as designated by the school. That is not going to be the case for JVA in the future. A student will be expected to be online in live sessions with a video on. It can have a normal background or a blurred background for class participation and or assessments. So it is definitely looking different than it was in the past, and some more strict guidelines for student participation. It's very important that there's a clear communication between students, caregivers, and teachers. So it's the back and forth in the virtual setting, using live grades, using Google Classroom, and using Office 365 email correspondence. Due dates and assignments are going to be different. It will not be based on week. It will look very much like regular school. If an assignment is given on Tuesday and it's considered homework, it would be expected at the start of class on Wednesday. So it will not be a week-long activity of any facet like it was this year that you had a week to do all of your work. It will be very much like school, just in a virtual setting. Students participating in JVA are expected to follow this code of conduct. Infractions have progressive disciplinary consequences. Obviously, discipline looks different in a virtual setting, but it's more about appropriate etiquette and cyber safety with students when it comes to that way. Participation in all virtual courses, including the West Virginia Virtual School to substitute some of our courses, requires students to participate in all teacher scheduled check-ins. So there will be mandatory meetings that students must participate in, and those will be non-negotiable events for students that have decided to be part of the JVA. There's a great understanding, and this you will find if you have selected the JVA. There's a great understanding that not all courses that are offered on site will be offered virtually. So I'd like to say that again because it's very important to know, and I'm going to clear it up. While there are elective choices for students that are on site, most of those courses, and I'm going to say most all, will not be offered in the virtual setting. For our students that are in sixth grade JVA, the only electives that are offered are health and physical education. So it is a wellness course and a physical education course. There is not an option to take band or chorus or the other courses of related arts in the virtual academy. So I want parents to understand that there is a vast difference in the fact that this year you might have had the opportunity for your student to take art or your student to take music when they were in fifth grade, and those are not courses that will be offered in the JVA. It is not an awarded course. There are some electives in the high school that are taught in different avenues, but in the middle school, Wildwood Middle School is offering health and physical education in the JVA. Any student not meeting the expectations for behavior, attendance, and grading could result in a requirement to return to in-person instruction. All students participating must attend a JVA orientation session that could be given by our school, or that could be a county directive. We're not entirely sure what that looks like, but requirements are that you must attend a orientation session. And when you register, and I want to pause at this because this is extremely important. When you register for the virtual academy, it is a 1-year commitment. So again, when you are sitting and working through this with your family and with your child, when you have registered for the virtual academy in the fall, it is a year commitment. It is a lot of scheduling, a lot of planning, and there is great concern for when we move students in and out of and in and out of any type of academics. You know, when students move from one school to another, there's always a gap in some educational gain, and we want it to be a continuous and successful environment for all of our students. So again, it is a year-long commitment. The courses that are offered to the on-site students are not guaranteed to be offered to the virtual academy students. And the other big takeaway from this is that it is going to be more of a live, interactive school setting where you're going to be participating like this at a scheduled time with teachers. Always is the expectation, and that's how attendance will be counted. You have meeting times to meet and academic deadlines to meet, which look different than the academy this year. So I hope that gives you a little bit more food for thought. Again, those are outlined specifically from the district office for you to read on your Google form, for you to really digest. You have time, 2 weeks to really think about it as a family, and we're happy to entertain any of your questions or concerns that you might have in regard to the Jefferson Virtual Academy, and encourage you to reach out to any of the three of us, but Ms. O'Brien has taken the lead on that. So you do have Ms. Brock's email. If you have questions, she will definitely forward those to Ms. O'Brien or in the virtual realm, but you can also find her contact information on our webpage as well. I will pause if we have any questions that are for the good of the order in regard to the virtual academy and the scheduling form. And then if not, you are more than welcome to dismiss yourself from our meeting and go to fill out those scheduling forms or take some time to talk about the commitment with your family. I do think that this would be important for the group as a whole. If you're still interested in the virtual academy, we had a question about social distancing look like, and will students use the cafeteria or the gym? I will share right now that our students are using the cafeteria. We have 50 students in the cafeteria at maximum at a time. Every child has their own table. We can assure great social distancing in there. We do not have guidelines for what social distancing expectations are for the fall. With vaccinations coming out and all of those things, I suspect that school will look more like it did before COVID when we get back to fall, but we do not have directions from the health department or guidance from the CDC as preparing for fall. Absolutely, you're welcome. All right, families, thank you so much for attending this evening. We'll stay a couple minutes. If you have any more questions in the chat, we want to be available for you. But again, we're really looking forward to starting in the fall. And if you have any questions about anything that you've heard this evening, please send Ms. Brock an email and we will help get you some answers. Have a good evening.